This is a bit of a retrospect I'm about to do. Because even though Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny just came out this last kind of 4th of July weekend, matter of fact, it's actually 4th of July today, 2023. I'm currently in Camp Lejeune at the moment. I'm wearing a skivvy shirt. Just got back from Norway and Sweden. Back in May, I just got back, and as you know, it's July. And July is a perfect, and I mean unsarcastically, a perfect time for your barracks AC to go out. It's not actually out; it's actually blowing hot air as we speak. So, with limited funds, I just went out to Best Buy and spent roughly $60 on a fan that kind of gets the job done. Is what it is. This is honestly a suck to suck moment for me. Yeah, but aside from all that, I picked up a copy of from a secondhand retailer. It's called Second and Charles. They sell a bunch of like anime, pop culture, books, albums, video games, DVDs, and Blu-rays and movies. And it's funny because when I looked for Indiana Jones, the only one I could find, even DVDs of, was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. There was like 4 copies of them, of used DVDs, and none of the original trilogy. But that's why I'm having a retrospective today, is to talk about. See if I want to adjust this. I can't zoom in or out. I don't know, this angle looks kind of weird, but we'll go with it. It's just kind of like my bust up to my head, but whatever. Yeah, so it's 2023. Dial of Destiny just came out. I have not seen it. I go on leave here in a few days. I fly back to Utah on like the 7th. And then, so that's a Friday. So Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to try to get the whole family together and see Indiana Jones 5. Was I ever excited for it? Not really, if I'm going to be honest, because I knew with the acquisition from Disney to Lucasfilm, Star Wars, all of George Lucas's IPs back in 2012, I knew that. Let me turn this fan down. I knew, and even though I haven't seen the movie yet and haven't looked up any spoilers, I've been pretty blacked out on the internet these last few days with my usage. I just have the inclination, I have the intuition to know, with the path that Disney has taken with all these IPs for the last decade plus, that they're gonna like retcon Kingdom of the Crystal Skull out of existence, or they're just gonna underplay those following events onto this new movie, because I know Dial of Destiny is supposed to take place in like 1969 primarily, and I know like the first 20 minutes, from what I've heard, very sparsely I've heard things about this movie, but I know that there's like a train sequence during like end of World War II, de-aged Harrison Ford, he's fighting Nazis with a sidekick, and that plays into Phoebe Waller-Bridge being his goddaughter because she has a connection, or she's the daughter of the sidekick he's on the train with for that de-aging sequence of Dial of Destiny. So I know tidbits about the movie, that's really about it. But, watching Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you have to have a modicum of appreciation, or even just acknowledgement. It's one thing to not appreciate this movie, to be upset about the quality of it. I understand if somebody doesn't like Shia LaBeouf. I understand if people didn't like George Lucas's Saucerman story. But you can't act like these movies didn't happen. And that's a big mistake that these Disney Star Wars movies have made. The only acknowledgement you got from the J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson movies, that the prequels were a thing, was when Snoke had a throwaway line in The Force Awakens of, "Damn, should have had a clone army. That's it. That's like the only semblance that like has a connection back to the Clone Wars or back to the prequel trilogy. And it wasn't until like Rise of Skywalker where they're like, yeah, Hayden Christensen is not really as hated as the internet made him out to be. He's actually one of the most loved actors in the Star Wars community now. So Rise of Skywalker, they had like a Force Ghost sequence that got like deleted and you can't even find it. So now you just hear Hayden Christensen's voice in the final cut, along with Ewan McGregor and the Clone Wars voice actress for Ahsoka. So it wasn't until the very end of the sequel trilogy where Disney just got around to the fact that, wow, there's a really big untapped fan base in the Star Wars prequels. So that's my big concern with Dial of Destiny. You know, is it maybe like, is Harrison Ford a widow at this point? Did his wife that he marries at the end of Crystal Skull, does she die like a few years after they get married or like a decade after they get married? So is he recently widowed? And I was talking to my older brother about it the other day because we were about to see Dial of Destiny, and he said he really doesn't give a shit. He said that like he's just not excited. He knows it's going to be bad. So we ended up not seeing it. We actually ended up seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I saw it for the second time. He saw it for his first time this last weekend. But he had an interesting comment about Mutt, because it's like, how are they going to handle the Mutt Williams, or the Indiana Jones' son Mutt not being in Dial of Destiny. And it's obvious because Shia LaBeouf badmouthed the studio right after it came out, so he got fired, and they never made an indie sequel from that. But character-wise, story-wise, with the politics aside of acting and the actors in the studio, my brother was saying, like, what if, like, 1969, it's Vietnam era. What if Mutt enlisted or became an officer and he ends up dying in the war? So Indy loses Miriam and Mutt. They both die. So if they can have a reasonable explanation for why those two very important characters aren't going to be in the story, I can understand that. But if they're going to do some weird time traveling stuff with the dial to just undo the events of Crystal Skull because the fans didn't like it, even though there's a plurality of people like myself that happen to like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it's just going to be really weird, if really underwhelming and extremely disappointing if that's the route they go of they're going to use this time travel MacGuffin to maybe undo just one movie. Or I could see them going the nuclear option and they undo all of his past adventures and Phoebe Waller-Bridge has to step in as like the female Indiana Jones and relive his adventures. That'd be like a nightmare scenario. Again, haven't seen the new one yet, but I will see it this weekend. So those are kind of my thoughts. Am I excited? Like, of course I want this to be good. James Mangold's behind it. Mads Mikkelsen from Casino Royale, Rogue One, and he's been in so many other just great movies. He's such a great actor. He's going to be such a good villain. But, it's like, what makes me cautious is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who was atrocious, insufferable in Solo. So that's a bad sign. And then she was a writer for No Time to Die. She's written like nothing else in her career, but somehow, who did she blackmail to get into the Star Wars franchise, Indiana Jones, and have a writing credit in No Time to Die? And No Time to Die, I actually still like to this day. No Time to Die, matter of fact, is still top 10 Bond material for me. It's in my top 10 favorite Bond movies. Even with the fact that I feel that was written from Phoebe Waller-Bridge, that Lashana Lynch's 007 overtook James Bond while he went off to retire and get married to Madeline Swan. I feel that was definitely what she did. But it wasn't so bad. It wasn't such a bad thing in No Time to Die that it made me demonstrably enjoy the film less. Even with something as best way I can describe it, I just kind of rolled my eyes past it. but still took away a really good movie, despite the production hell that the movie went through. It went through 2 directors. It had to have been like a 4-year process to actually make the film from conception to release, now that I think about it. Because it got announced in like 2018. Yeah, 2018 I think is when it got announced, and late 2021 is when they were actually able to release it to the cinemas. So it had an extra long start to finish process, and it has the stupid politics, like feminist stuff from Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and it had everything going against it, but No Time to Die still turned out to be good. And it still turned out to be a Bond movie that I heavily enjoy. I have my eyes keep going past the camera because I keep looking past it, but oh shoot, just knocked over the rest of my Blu-rays. But I got the Steelbook, and like I like this movie a lot, and I want that so bad. I want it so bad. Let me fix my stuff, but I want that so bad for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You got James Mangold behind it. You got Harrison Ford back at 79, 80. He was probably 79 when they filmed it. But an 80-year-old Harrison Ford. You know, I remember as a kid in elementary school, so excited for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Buying, I was a poor kid, but every once in a while, my mom, dad, or grandparents were able to afford some of even just the little Lego sets of Raiders, Crystal Skull, Temple of Doom, Crusade. Like, I remember my brother had one of my older brothers had the like campsite of Shia LaBeouf's character having a sword fight with Cate Blanchett's Russian character. My other brother, George, had a set of the motorcycle with Sean Connery, Harrison Ford, and the Nazi biker in The Last Crusade. And I had my mom got me the Temple of the Ark of the Covenant for Raiders of the Lost Ark. And that might have been my only Lego Indiana Jones set. Now that I think about it, I think that those were like realistically the only sets me and my brothers had. My brother George also had the Convoy from Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Indy grabs on the front emblem, gets dragged under the truck, and has to like use his whip and dangle and drag from it. So he had that set too. But like I think those were like the only sets we ended up having, because those were like the cheaper sets. But I have very fond memories of anticipation. I remember watching Indiana Jones. I remember watching it in my grandmother's basement, my grandma and grandpa's basement, who they're still alive. They're in their 80s now. So it's very sentimental to me, because like Harrison Ford is in his 80s going on these adventures, and I have my grandparents still gracefully alive with me in my life in their 80s too. It's kind of a cool allegory I was able to just think of just now. And I remember wearing out that VHS tape of Raiders. Every summer I went to my grandma and grandpa's house. We would drive from St. George to Salt Lake City. It's like a 3-4 hour drive, more on the 4 hour end. And we were very rambunctious, wild kids growing up. I had one little sister, 2 older brothers, and myself. I was the youngest boy. We were very energetic, demanding, rambunctious set of kids. And we'd play in their backyard. We'd go down in the basement, maybe grab like an ice cream or a Freezy Pop from the fridge, because Salt Lake City gets hot in the summer. It gets like 100, 105, 110 easily. And we would simmer down and watch Indiana Jones downstairs and just get excited and just rambunctious again. So like Indiana Jones has a very important and special place in my life, if I'm being completely frank and honest about it. In the summer of 2008, I just have such fond memories. And there we go, another Lego set I actually ended up having. I had the Temple or the Ark of the Covenant set, and I had the Jeep raft set, where it comes with like 2 Russian soldiers, and it comes with Indy and Miriam, because the vehicle drives in the water, floats, and it has a machine gun mount on front. So I remember I had that set too. And it's funny because after my grandma And Grandpa took me and my siblings to see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. They took me to Toys R Us, and they picked out that set for me. They got it for me. Very nice of them, and I love them so much. See, like, all this hype I'm talking about, I want that for Dial of Destiny. I want to feel like a kid again that I was 15 years ago in 2008. I was 7 years old back then. I'm 22 now. It's unbelievable. But I want to buy the Last Crusade airplane set that just released. I want to buy the new temple with the Ark of the Covenant in it. I want to buy the new Boulder Chase set, like, because Indiana Jones, the Lego set, just re-released, which is like a nostalgia bomb. I love it. And a line that really sticks with me in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because I just got done watching it and I decided to make a little retrospect video, is Charlie, the new dean who replaces Brody's character, because he died before they made Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So Charlie is the new dean. He's filling in his shoes. Him and Harrison Ford are having a conversation after, Charlie resigns and after Charlie tells Indiana Jones he has to take a leave of absence and that he's been raided by the feds. They have the really interesting dialogue exchange where they say they're at the point in their life now where it stops giving and it starts taking. So that's crazy that the film could be that, a film about interdimensional beings, saucer men, and crystal skulls, and riding motorcycles with Shia LaBeouf could have a deep, sentimental undertone like that, because I think Lucas and Ford were at a point in their life and career, after they were 30, 40 years of making films, they were kind of at a settle down point in their lives back in 2007, 2008. And 15 years later, me being even just a young 22-year-old, I'm watching my parents just get past their 50s now. I'm watching my grandparents well into their late 80s. I'm even noticing differences about my body, because as you guys know, I'm in the Marine Corps, and 18-year-old me has such a head and shoulders health difference between 22-year-old me now. My back is in a lot of pain. My stomach isn't as slim as it once was when I was a teenager. I still have muscle and I'm still fit, but I'm not like as slender or as agile as I was like 4 or 5 years ago. So the fact that even a young 22-year-old like me can get appreciation from a film about giant poisonous ants, crystal alien skulls, is pretty remarkable. Looking into some other notes here too is, I guess that's why I just like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's a nostalgia trip, and it's good, but it's not great, and it doesn't hold. If the original Indy trilogy is a fat burning torch, yeah, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is probably just like a wick candle compared to it, if we're being completely honest. But I still like it a lot. It's just a special movie to me. It takes me back to a very powerless time in my life. I was just a 7-year-old child. That's as innocent as you can be at a point in your life. So I really hope. Hope's powerful. Hope is a powerful phrase and mindset. I want Dial of Destiny to be good. I want to see it with my family this Saturday or Sunday. I want to have a safe flight to Utah. And I want to be with my grandparents, my parents, my sister, one of my brothers who's in Utah at the moment, because I have another brother, I think in Florida now. I have another brother in Washington, and then I have my brother who's stationed in the Army 2 hours away from me here in North Carolina. So, family split up, but I still have a good chunk of my family back in Utah. So I want like that legit family experience. I remember when No Time to Die came out almost 2 years ago. I was going to go on leave and try to see it with them, but it just didn't work out. So I remember seeing it in a theater with my friends, but I got so sad because I'm like, man, this would have been wicked. Such a weird terminology, but this would have been pretty wicked to see with my family. The rest of my thoughts are pretty meandering. It's just been 20 minutes of me rambling, but yeah, I just wanted to record that and just get that out there.